missed it by that much. It was. It looked like a glorious night right up to the point where Minnesota just rattled off 3 straight touchdowns, and the Bears had little they can do about it once they did close to a field goal, and then the kickoff came up short. So, oops.
Yeah, I mean, that was – listen, you're really hoping for a prayer there when you need to get the ball through the end zone on the kickoff. You need to get a 3-and-out, and they got to punt it, and maybe you're going to be on your own 20 or so with less than a minute to play and no timeouts. I mean, it's tough. They were struggling to throw the football once again, and but that wasn't everything. That went wrong. Poor discipline. I think people are probably disappointed in their ability to run the football with anyone other than Caleb Williams. We talk about having 20 carries for, about 60 yards, I think. With the running backs, that needed to be better. There were multiple special teams issues throughout the night. So plenty of correction tape for the Bears on a short week, because that was a disappointing performance to blow a 17-6 lead into the fourth quarter.
Brad, on a day that there will include much overreaction because it is a season opener, what area of concern do you think is most legitimate? What will be the top priority when the Bears get back together and go to practice?
I heard passing game's got to be better. Like J.J. McCarthy, at the end of the game, was a better quarterback than Caleb. J.J.'s making NFL start number 1. Caleb was making NFL start number 18. Like that, he looked like the same guy as last year, I thought, right? In terms of frenetic in the pocket. He was bailing out of there pretty quick. Sometimes he had to bail out there, but he was getting out of there pretty quick. Inaccurate passing. Like how many throws in that game last night did he miss by a huge margin? Like where it wasn't even – I mean, he had some throws where if you're equating it to baseball, like the pitch is in the opposite batter's box.
Right.
So that's troubling. And I'd go back to being able to run the football with the investments made on that offensive line. They've got to be better in the trenches. I was trying to catch a little shut-eye when you had Olin on earlier this morning, so I'm not sure exactly what he said, but I can't imagine he didn't weigh in on that as being a significant factor in the ballgame.
We couldn't connect with Olin earlier, sadly, but I did hear him in the post game talk a little bit about basically saying that he heard a lot of the coach changing things and everything. He basically believes it's probably a bigger job than people realize what he has in front of him. I'm talking about Ben Johnson, and it looked like, and I don't want to get goofy about it, but from the shape of the field to everything surrounding it, it just looked like there was a lot on his plate, and a lot he had to deal with.
Yeah, well, losing football has been systemic there.
Yes.
Like that predates Ben Johnson showing up what sort of predates Ben Johnson being an assistant in the NFL? I mean, this is a team that you go back to the start of the 2013 season now, the Chicago Bears are 22-51 in NFC North games. That's barely above 30%. Like, they lose their next 2 division games, and I think they'll be under 30% in NFC North games since the start of 2013. So these are deep-rooted issues. there's a lot of work to be done. The good news is, and I believe it, coaches would tell you long ago, the biggest improvement a player makes is from week 1 to week 2. I think that's probably highlighted even more now because of a shorter preseason in which the starters don't do a whole lot. So you should see some of these guys look considerably better next week or this coming Sunday at Detroit. The only thing is those Lions players that they'll be facing against are in the same boat, making that jump from a disappointing performance in week 1 at Lambeau Field to hopefully getting back to looking like the Detroit Lions we saw the last couple seasons against the Bears. Like, that's the hope for them in Detroit anyway.
Brad, the 12 penalties were the most in a game since 2021 for the Bears. It was the most in an opener since 1952. And
127 yards, most ever in an opener for the Bears.
So if you're Ben Johnson and you've got your new staff together and you look at your guys together, where do you start to attack that? Because that is, to me, the one thing you look at that everyone agrees on can't be tolerated and is, unfortunately, a blemish that reveals a team that right now is not very disciplined.
Yeah, it's bad. You've got 12 penalties. You've got, 4 false starts. You got a hold on Darnell Wright. One of the false starts was on DJ Wright. So, I mean, that stuff, you're just killing yourself with those penalties. And this is an offense, guys, that a year ago was tied for second in the National Football League with the most false starts. I think they had 28 a year ago. So, new staff, rebuilt offensive line, same problem during the small sample size of 1 week. That really hurt them. Like, they didn't have a third down in the second half where they needed less than 10 yards. It was 3rd and 10 plus the entire second half. Now, not all of that was penalty driven, but it does take penalties to get into what was the one? 3rd and 30 or 3rd and 40? 3rd and 30, I think it was. Penalties will put you in that. And that was coming off of them getting to 1st down and 10 at the Minnesota 24-yard line. That possession, and they come away with no points. Like, that's the turning point right there. Minnesota somehow holds them off the board, and then the Vikings found a way to start running the ball a little bit with Jordan Mason, right? And then JJ started clicking, and the Bears didn't have an answer. And I don't think that Bears defense was gassed, guys. I really don't. They had some quick turnarounds there in the fourth quarter, but the Vikings only ran 49 offensive plays.
This segment with Brad Biggs is sponsored by Estwing Professional Tools, made in the USA for over 100 years. Estwing.com. Brad, curious what your thoughts were when Ben Johnson decided to go for it on 4th down early in the game. It was 4th and 3 in the 24. The first half of the game, Caleb Williams threw an incomplete pass, ending a run of 10 of 10. It was an inaccurate pass, and you thought after seeing it that maybe they could have gotten it, but boy, it would have been a good spot for a field goal.
Yeah, they need to complete the pass there, and I'm not surprised. You saw what Dan Campbell did in Detroit on 4th down. You understand the mathematical background and how sharp Ben Johnson is with analytics and those types of things. So seeing them go for it there, it was 7-3 at the time. I'm not surprised. The problem there is they didn't make the play to DJ, and it was there to be made. And he started 10 of 10, but he was turning down opportunities to make some plays downfield, to get some explosive plays, and that was also something that was a consistent issue throughout his rookie season.
What did you think of the challenge on the T.J. Hawkinson apparent fumble that cost him a timeout?
Yeah, I didn't have the best angle for the television in the press box, but T.J. Hawkinson was on the ground, and you've got to have the clear evidence, right? If he's on the ground and you touch him with your fingernail, he's down, right? Mm-hmm. So they must have ruled that in the process of that ball being knocked out of there,
he was down first.
He was clearly on the ground when the ball was knocked out.
Right.
Like, I don't think that was something that they was debating. So then was it just like literally they only touched the ball, or did they get a finger on the player, because then he would be down because he's on the ground.
Brad, how do you expect Ben Johnson to react to this game and to move beyond it as the short week continues and you head to Detroit?
I think you gotta put your correctable tape up there. You gotta say, hey, too many self-inflicted mistakes, difficult to win a football game when we're making unforced errors like this, and then you're on to Detroit, and you're diving into your game plan for the Lions and trying to put it behind you. They're not gonna sweep this under the rug, but I also don't think Ben Johnson is gonna change the way he goes about it or go on some type of tirade or anything. He said in his comments last night, he said, hey, I got to do a better job. It starts with me doing a better job. And when I talked to Jonah Jackson after the game, and he had a pair of the false starts there, Jonah said, we've got to cut this out, and that starts with me. So I think that that's a message that's already spreading throughout the locker room, and if each guy can execute to a degree on that, hopefully they'll be much cleaner against Detroit in terms of the penalties. It's just way too many.
Brad, Ben Johnson was very clear and loud about wanting to kick the ball out of the end zone at the end, and Cairo Santos not being able to. That aside, is Torrey Taylor an option on kickoffs? Have you ever explored that possibility? We may have addressed this last year, but it becomes more of a relevant point when you have a kicker that can't kick the ball out of the end zone.
Well, you got a kicker in that instance did not kick the ball out of the end zone. You know what and I got a text from a GM with another team. Before I even left the press box last night, wanting to know why they didn't just kick the football out of bounds.
Right.
Okay, kick the football out of bounds.
Right.
The clock doesn't start.
5 extra yards. Yeah.
It's 5 yards, but you remove any possibility of the ball being returned into play and the clock going past the 2-minute warning. Kick the ball out of bounds. Minnesota ball at the 40-yard line. So that was this guy was like he was out of his mind that they had not elected to just drill the ball.
I can see why he'd be out of his mind. That's the kind of thing that we thought we weren't going to be discussing with Ben Johnson. It's there. It's obvious, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, Dave, it's the guy's first game.
Okay,
like I'm not. And again, if they pull that off, and you expect them to have all the details buttoned down, if they pull that off, if they get a 3-and-punt, like Ben Johnson's estimate was they would have had the ball back with 56 seconds remaining and probably a long way to go.
Still,
a lot better than
56 seconds when you only need a field goal to tie. That's a lifetime.
Brett,
that's a world better, but it's still, listen, they got bigger issues to clean up from this ball game than that. They're much bigger.
Okay, I'm just curious. What happened to the defense that they allowed 3 straight possessions, 3 straight touchdowns in the fourth quarter? Did you feel that they tired? Did they miss some of their playmakers? How long are these guys out? Do you feel like the secondary is going to be suddenly replenished? Is the linebacker coming back? What's your thoughts? And there's a backup running back. Hey, they were without their left tackle and their safety too. But I get it. The Bears lost a lot, some of the best players. What's your thought about how quickly they can be back?
Yeah, Vikings were also without Jordan Addison, who's been an excellent playmaker for them, out on suspension.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I saw before the game, and that was Jalen Johnson and T.J. Edwards, both working out a little bit with an athletic trainer, strength coach on the field beforehand. I don't think it's a bad idea to wait till Jalen Johnson's been listed as a full participant in a handful of practices before you put him out there in a game. He's too valuable for them to risk a recurrence with what was a serious injury before you feel like he's in a really good spot physically for a long season. They've got 16 games left. Seeing T.J. Edwards go through a little bit of a workout could provide a little bit of optimism that perhaps he's available at Detroit. I don't even want to speculate there because that's all the information I had. I saw him work out just a little bit on the field. Did not see Kyler Gordon, who was the late addition to the injury report with a hamstring, which is an injury suffered before the Dolphins came to town for the first preseason. I mean, the guy basically had August off, so you hate to see that. Missing those guys affected him, no question. But I think the Vikings were able to get it going when they finally started running the ball a little bit with Jordan Mason, and then that opened up some well-designed pass plays for McCarthy, and they hit him. And the Bears couldn't get off the field when they needed to. Couldn't get that momentum shifting play when they really needed it.
Did J.J. McCarthy arrive last night?
Oh, I don't know, but I mean, it was a really impressive fourth quarter. Like, he's the first quarterback in his first start to score, to be responsible for 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I think he's the first guy in his first start to have at least 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown since Cam Newton almost 15 years ago. I'm not going to say he arrived doing this against a team that's coming off a 5-win season with a new head coach and a new defensive coordinator. Let's see a little bit more from JJ, and hopefully the Bears will see more from Caleb Williams very soon, maybe at Detroit, because that's it needs to be better.
Brad, was there more reason to be concerned / disappointed in Caleb than there was to think that maybe he can get this scheme down and play better before the year's out?
I'm just evaluating one game, so I'm not, this isn't
not getting ahead of it.
Yeah, that game's not going to define his season.
Okay.
But to feel like he's made real gains and he can be the guy and Ben, this is going to be perfect with Ben Johnson, you're going to have to see a heck of a lot better than that.
Great stuff, Big Z. Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Brad.